welcome back to our YouTube channel, except for Rory isn't here. It's only me because today I am going to be telling you guys a story, and it is our most requested video by far, 15 out of 10. You guys have been begging for this video, so I know it's gonna make you guys really happy. Today I am telling you my kidnapping story. Before I had posted it on social media, I hadn't ever really opened up a whole lot about it. I had only told like maybe 10 people my whole entire life. I just haven't really opened up about my childhood a lot. People that have known me for years didn't even know anything. It's not something that comes up in conversation, you know. I've been testing the waters on how comfortable I feel sharing everything, just experimenting. I finally feel ready to share the whole entire story. I will put a disclaimer that I don't know all of the details because I was so little. With that said, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your patience. Now who's ready for a juicy story time?
1, 2, 3, let's switch this up.
Where do we even begin? I'll just start with my parents. My mom met my dad and she already had my older sister. My older sister was like 3, and my dad, he has a son as well, but they don't really have contact, like that he's not really in his life. So they meet, and there is speculation if they met, my dad invited my mom to a party, they had a one-night stand, got pregnant with me, and then that's where the story starts. Also, there's another story, which I don't know the truth, I don't know. I've also heard that they had known each other for a week and got pregnant. That's where the story starts. So I have no idea. My whole entire life I thought that it was a one-night stand, and so now I don't know. So anyway, bottom line, they did not know each other for a very long time. They tried to make it work for 5 years. So I'm 5 years old. Honestly, I don't even know how they made it that long. They're two opposite people. I honestly can't fathom. Anyway, they try to make it work for 5 years. It's a very toxic, bad relationship. They end up breaking up and my dad starts seeing another woman. Also, I'm not sure if my dad leaves my mom for this other woman or if they break up, have this conversation, and then my dad starts dating again. I don't know. He starts dating somebody else and she ends up pregnant with my now little brother. My mom and my dad in their relationship, he's moving on, and then my mom, she's also just living her life, kind of dating, whatever. Not important details. Also, I do need to tell you guys, I sometimes, when I'm telling stories and I'm nervous, I'll just tell a lot of details that do not matter. I'm very sorry. I hope you are a details person and you like and appreciate details, because you're gonna get a lot of them. Like, why do you care if my mom was dating when I was 5 years old? You know? What? Okay, Anna. Anyway, a lot of things go down between my dad and my mom. They're going through a custody battle over me. Bad things are happening. For their privacy, I just don't want to get into it, unfortunately. Maybe later on I can interview them or something, and if they're comfortable talking about it, I don't know. But bad things go down to the point that drugs are involved, you know? And I don't know how involved or what the role the drugs play, but our house is searched by the DA, is that what they're called? A big SWAT team comes in and arrests my mom with us in the house. It's getting really messy, really messy. My mom has this huge fear that she is going to lose custody of me. I will say there are a few more details into that, but just out of respect for my parents, I just want to like keep that private. So there's like not much more I can say on that. So my mom ends up deciding that she is going to disappear. She's gonna take me and my older sister. My older sister's dad is not involved. My mom has full custody of her and he's just never has been involved. So she's gonna take me and my sister and just leave. She had decided I'm gonna change our identities and disappear. How it was working is my dad got me every Wednesday and then every other weekend. So my mom, she had me like the rest of the time. She takes me and my sister, and we at the time lived in Salt Lake City. She drives us down to St. George where my grandma lived, and her and my grandma come up with a plan to leave, to basically disappear. Ultimately what they decided is they were going to get fake identities. I don't know exactly how she did it. I think that'd be a very interesting conversation to have with her. Okay, walk me through, like, what was step one? How do you just say, you know what, I'm gonna change my identity and go and live a new life? I don't even know how you would even get started. So we go from St. George, Utah, and drive all the way to California. A lot of people have asked if I knew how I was feeling, like what I thought was going on. So I'm 6 years old at the time, and I don't really know or remember a lot. I do remember the drive from St. George to California because we were in a U-Haul, and my mom was asking me if there were any names that I wish that I had, like if I could choose my own name, what would I choose? And we were like talking about it, and then she was testing the waters with the name that I ended up being given, which was Natalia. She was like, well, what do you think of the name Natalia? So I remember that part a little bit, but I didn't think much of it. Like, I'm just with my mom, who I normally was with at that time. So my dad has no idea any of this is going on because his next visitation isn't until Wednesday evening. Anyway, we get to California, we spend the night there, and my grandma is with my mom. I don't remember all the details there, but basically we get on a flight in California that's a direct one-way ticket to Hawaii. I don't know how my mom got us on the flight. It was after 9/11. It was right after 9/11. So I feel like they were at an all-time peak, but somehow she gets us to Hawaii. I can't imagine how anxious she was probably feeling boarding the flight. Oh my gosh. But she flies us to Hawaii, and it was really sad. She had to say goodbye to her mom, my Nana, what she thought was for forever, because she was leaving her life. So they say goodbye. I say goodbye to my Nana. I don't really remember it at all, but I'll get emotional thinking about it. I can't imagine, like, now as a mom having to say goodbye to your child for forever, you know. She had no idea if she was ever gonna see us again. I'm already crying and we're like only a few minutes into it. Really, Anna? So we get to Hawaii and we're living with this woman. My mom was renting her casita. It was like a 1 or 2 bedroom casita that we were renting just in her backyard. It was a really hard adjustment. Me and my sister kept on calling each other by our real names when we were supposed to be like going by our fake identities. It was just a really hard adjustment. We've grown up our whole entire life calling each other by our real name. The woman that we were living with was getting kind of suspicious. My mom would like get after us and be like, why are you saying that name? And she tried telling the woman that it was, oh, they like to play house, or that's their imaginary friends, and was just trying to like brush it off. But I think maybe the woman just had like a gut feeling. It was like, something is weird here. So she started digging deep. My mom discovers a file filled with information on our real identities and us like being missing. At this point, my dad, he noticed I was missing when I didn't show up for my Wednesday visitation, and then I didn't show up again for the weekend visitation, and he had reported me missing. So I was considered a missing person. This woman's like finding out all this information. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like we lived on a piece of land in Hawaii that was like a forest. So my mom takes the file. So we go out into the forest, she digs a hole, we put all of the papers in there, and my mom lights it on fire, and then we go back, we pick up all of our stuff, we're packing everything, and my mom calls a taxi and we leave. I don't know if I said our identities names, but so my mom was Jill Sorensen, I was Natalia Sorensen, and then my sister was Michaela Sorensen. So anyway, we get in the taxi cab and my mom asks the taxi driver if he can drive her to run some errands for the day, because she had to like go and get a new phone and a new phone number and kind of just like make some moves, because she was kind of in a fight or flight mode. Like, is this woman going to blow everything that I just worked for? Anyway, she asks the taxi driver's super nice. He's like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I can like totally help. He drives us to this phone store and my mom gets us out. She leaves all of our stuff in the taxi cab and she's like, I will pay you to like just sit here and wait for us while we're in there, and then drive us to do other random errands. So she left all of our suitcases. We didn't take much with us, but what we did take, we left in the taxi cab. So we go into the phone store and my mom realizes she left her wallet. It's like not in her purse. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna just like run back out and grab it out of the taxi cab. She goes out there and the guy's gone with all of our stuff. My mom said that it was like honestly one of the hardest moments of her life. Like I said, she's in fight or flight mode. She's really anxious, really stressed out, and then she gets robbed. We end up walking around town and ultimately where my mom is just like crying on the side of the road. Me and my sister are just like sitting on the side of the road. It's nighttime at this point and my mom's just sobbing. She's about to give up. She's about to call my Nana and like be like, I can't do it, like this just happened. She didn't know what her next moves were. Like, she just got robbed. She's in Hawaii. She doesn't know anyone. She has a new identity, doesn't have a job yet. She was at her breaking point. Then a couple walks up to her and is like, are you okay? How can we help you? What's wrong? And they offer to put us in a hotel room. They offered to put us in a hotel room because we didn't have a place to stay. Oh. So they put us in a hotel room and then offer my mom a job. It goes on from there, and me and my sister, like, we're living in hotels and motels while my mom saves up money and can replace the things that were stolen from us, and honestly, like, at this point start from zero. So we live in Hawaii for about a year and a half, and my mom had met and started dating a guy, and he ultimately was like, I'm moving to Texas and I want you to come with me. And coincidentally, I think it was Austin, Texas. So we end up moving to Austin with this guy that my mom had been dating for a couple of months, and that relationship is also very, very toxic, very abusive. It's a bad relationship, so they end up breaking up and my mom moves to San Antonio. Antonio, Texas. We get an apartment and we start living in an apartment and we're living our lives. My mom is homeschooling us, and at this point it's been like 2 years since I've been missing. My dad has no idea where I am. He hasn't heard anything from my mom. He never heard anything, so I'm still a missing person. Fast forward, we're in San Antonio and it's my sister's fake birthday, you know, with her fake identity, and we're having a birthday party with her with some neighborhood kids that are in the apartment complex. Me and my mom are setting it up. We had actually gotten my sister a puppy for her birthday, so we were like really starting to feel secure and established. You know, my mom was getting a dog. Life was moving forward, and right before the birthday party starts, we hear a bang at the door. My mom opens the door and it's the police, and they call my mom by her real name, not her fake identity name, by her real name. And she kind of denies it at first. She's like, you have the wrong house, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they're like, ma'am, like, you know, I don't know, just like prompted her to cooperate. So we get separated from my mom. I am assuming she's like being questioned or arrested in the living room, I don't know what the heck. We're in the bedroom, and then they bring my mom into the bedroom with me and my sister sitting on the bed. She's just crying, she's arrested, and she's like, you can sorry. So she's just like, you can trust them, they're good people, tell them the truth, you don't need to pretend anymore, you can say that your name is Ariana, don't worry, just listen to them and everything is gonna be okay, you're gonna be fine. And then they take her away, and they take me and my sister to a sorry, this is the part that always gets me emotional, so bear with me. They take my mom away, they take her to jail, and they take me and my sister to a home. I think it's like a step in between foster care. So you like will go to this, it's like kind of like an orphanage. They call it like a boys and girls ranch, I believe. So they take us there and in a sense book us, like they check us in, and they separated me and my sister, which was so sad and so scary. I think I was 8. My sister was 12. We live at this place for like about a week. That's all a blur too. The police let us pack a backpack to take with us with some of our things, and I had a baby blanket, my yaya. And I remember when we were at the boys and girls ranch that we were staying at, they were like, we need to take your personal things, they're gonna be safe, like don't worry about it, we're gonna take these things and we're gonna put them away. It's just some kids come in here and they don't have anything, and we don't want to make them jealous or feel bad, you know, so we're just gonna like put it in this locker, you'll get your stuff back when you leave. Unfortunately, they kept our stuff. We were moved to another boys and girls home. Again, I don't know all of the time, like I think I was at the first one for a week, and then we were transferred to a more permanent one where they have like schooling on campus, and it's like, it was like a mansion orphanage thing, like honestly truly what you would picture an orphanage, but I think the proper term is a boys and girls home. So that's where I went. I was like enrolled in school. I think I was there while they figured out all of the information for my dad to come and get me, like confirmed my identity, all of the paperwork and stuff. I'm at this boys and girls ranch. My sister is there with me. We end up sharing a room here. This place was a lot better. They were a lot nicer to us. I liked it so much more. I mean, my sister kind of just, this is life now. I don't even know. Again, so many people ask my feelings and what I thought, and I really couldn't tell you. I was just a kid and I just thought that this was how life worked. Eventually, my dad comes and picks me up. And to remind you, he is not my sister's biological father, so he cannot legally take my sister too. So at that point, me and my sister are separated again, and I go and live with my dad, and I don't know how long it took, but a couple more weeks, and then my nana went and picked up my sister, so she got all the custody worked out. So it was only a few weeks that my sister had to be there alone. Wow, I'm feeling really emotional about it. I think because me and my sister were so close. We were best friends. We had never been separated our whole entire life. Anyway, it just makes me sad, but I'm okay. There is a happy ending. There is a happy ending. Bear with me. And then yeah, I just go and live my life, which that's a whole nother story, is like my life after being kidnapped, because my dad was still with the woman that my brother and sister's mom. She was not a nice person, and it was really hard. It was hard living with her. It isn't until about a year later my nana and my sister end up just showing up at my dad's house and demanding to see me, and my dad denies it. And it's hard because I don't understand, but then I also understand because he just like, I was missing for 2 years and he doesn't know who to trust, and he, I'm sure, also has trauma and like is like, no, you know, just trying to protect me and keep me with him. But then also I don't understand because it's like, I don't know why he didn't let me see my sister. We were just kids. But like I said, I understand he had to have boundaries. So I am blocked from having any contact with my mom's side of the family, my sister, for a couple of years. So I'm 8. I think I don't start talking to her until I'm like 11 or 12. I'm gonna get through this. I ended up starting to sneak contact my mom. I think it started through MSN Messenger. I had added maybe my sister, or like social media. I think I added my sister and my mom on social media, and I started kind of sneaking talking to them. My dad did not know I was contacting them. When he would go to work, I would call my mom on the phone and talk to her until finally my dad found out, and he was super cool with it, and he was just like, understandably, like, I'm just like worried about you, but like, you're old enough now, you can make decisions. I love you so much, I care about you, like I just want to keep you safe, but if you want to have a relationship with them, like that's your choice. So he continues to let me have a relationship, and actually it leads to my mom and my dad going back to court for visitation. So my mom ends up getting supervised visitations, and I get to see my mom and start building our relationship again. Like we went like 3 or 4 years without speaking. So she gets to see me again, and we start building our relationship again until ultimately my dad feels comfortable with cutting out the legal stuff and just letting me decide when I want to go to my mom's and visit her. And then the rest is kind of more of a normal childhood. At this point, my dad there was like a lot of shit that went down with my brother and sister's mom, you know, the woman that he was with. Like I said, she was not a good person. My dad didn't even know anything that was going on, and then finally that all came to a head. So their relationship ended, and that woman ended up going to jail, actually. So then my childhood turns into like more of a normal childhood. My dad starts dating my now stepmom, who I love and adore, and I have such a good relationship with. Oh my gosh, literally one of the best things that ever happened to our family. So my dad starts dating her, and he ended up marrying her. They're now still married. Perfect match, honestly, like match made in heaven. She's so good for him and he's so good for her. So yeah, after that I live like pretty solid. I mean, there's a few things here and there that are like, no, that was interesting. I don't want to say that I lived a normal childhood because like my family just a bit cray, as you can tell. I have some great stories. Oh, I can't believe I left this out, but my mom ended up going to jail for I think a year or 2 years. Well, actually I think it was prison, maybe jail, I don't know for sure, for like a year or maybe even 2 years. Then when she got out of jail, my sister was still living with my nana and my grandpa, and she went and moved in with them and then started getting back into society. So my mom lived in St. George, Utah, and my dad lived in Salt Lake. Like I said, my dad let me ultimately start deciding when I saw my mom. So I just saw her like basic times, like school vacations, over summer break, spring break, stuff like that, until I turned 18 and I moved down to southern Utah for college. And I was in college for 1 whole semester. And then I dropped out and decided that I wanted to pursue aesthetics, and I went to esthetician school, but that was in St. George, Utah, where my mom lived. So I moved to St. George, and I didn't live with my mom, but I lived like a block away from her. So then we just started our relationship, and my sister lives with my mom with my little nephew. So I also have a really good relationship with my sister. I'm sure you're wondering where everyone's relationships stand after all of that craziness went down. So my mom and my dad have always had a very bad relationship and cannot talk or be friends or anything. So they do not talk at all, have zero contact. My mom ended up leaving my wedding early just because she was so uncomfortable. It's just that bad. Like, they just do not like each other. So yeah, they're not talking, but I do talk to my dad. I have a relationship with my dad, same with my mom. They just don't talk. And then me and my sister have a relationship. My sister and my dad do not have a relationship, just because he only raised her for like 5 years and then they never had contact again. So they just don't talk. And yeah, that's my life. I posted a Q&A on my story so I could cover everything that you guys want to know. So I'm going to answer just a few questions that I did leave out. How did you get back to your family? I forgot to mention, the police received an anonymous call basically saying that they saw the "have you seen this child," you know, the advo cards where it's like, "have you seen me?" and it's like last seen with, and then it was a picture of my mom and then a picture of me. So somebody had seen that and reported us anonymously. My mom has suspicions about who she thinks it is, but I don't know. None of it is confirmed. How are you coping? Not well. Obviously I was crying a lot, need therapy. But on a very serious note, I really do think that I need to start going to therapy. I was not ever affected by this until just this past year, when I've learned a lot more details and a lot more information and motives behind everything. So to answer your question, I am not coping very well, so that's why I need to go to therapy. Did I ever go to therapy for it? Well, my dad did put me in therapy afterwards. Like, we did like a couple of sessions, but that's it. And then we do not talk about it. I never talked about it with anyone really, except for like a few close friends and a few close family members, but it just wasn't brought up ever again. But I wasn't really affected, like I said, so I don't know if that was just my dad doing a judgment call, being like, oh well, she seems fine, so I'm not gonna force all this trauma. So somebody said long-term effects even as an adult, anxiety, fear. Yes, I have a personal belief that everyone experiences anxiety. I think it's an emotion, just like you can be sad, just like you can be mad. I think you can be anxious too, but there are certain people that just like get debilitating anxiety, and unfortunately I'm one of those people. I am curious if that ties into my childhood. Since I've been married, I've noticed when I go through big changes, big drastic changes, like getting married, moving, like things like that, I always end up going into a depression almost every single time. I can only think that maybe it has to tie into my childhood. I'm not sure. I think maybe seeing a therapist could help me. How did your family cope while you were gone? My dad ended up, so he was with my the woman that my brother's mom, and he had my little sister while I was gone. So they like moved on with their life, but also I think I would have to ask my dad this question. I think it could be really interesting if I interviewed each of my parents and asked them some questions that you guys have for them. Let me know if that's something that you guys would want to see. So he kind of like lived his life, but also always was, your child's missing. So you will move on as much as you can, but there's still like a hole in your heart. Does it make you sad to think about now when you've become a parent? Absolutely. Absolutely. Becoming a mom has totally changed my perspective. The year that I became a mom is when I got affected, and I don't know if that's a coincidence. Maybe becoming a mom triggered me. Did you understand what was happening? Were you scared? Did you miss your family? I did understand what was happening, I think. I don't know. I was 6. Like, my mom did keep me in the loop. I mean, we got new identities. Do I ever have flashbacks? My mom did not hurt me, no. But also it wasn't like the best environment for a child to grow up in, you know? Like, I had a different identity. We were always on the run. I didn't have contact with my dad. I did miss my dad, and I thought that he was like a bad person. My mom didn't really brainwash me, but I just like could sense her fear of him, and so I always thought that he was really bad. I hope that I answered a lot of your questions. I know you guys had a lot of them. If there are any more, write them down in the comments and I will do my best to answer everything. I really appreciate you guys like being so patient. Just like, you've been the best support system, so thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for letting me share this with you and being vulnerable and just accepting me. I cried a couple of times. You know, I always get teased for crying on the internet, but it's just goes to show how comfortable I am with my relationship with this community that I'm building, and I just obviously have to say thank you to you. I couldn't be vulnerable unless you gave me a space to be vulnerable in, so I really appreciate you. I love you. I hope you have a blessed day.